The Minnesota Vikings are a team unlike any other, and I don't mean that in a good way. I mean it in the way you would say blood in your urine is unlike any blood you've seen before. The Vikings are a team that just seem to kind of just be there every year. Even when every now and then they make a playoff run, no one really believes in the team, unless you're from Minnesota or you're just like being a masochist. One of the most relevant things the franchise is known for was being briefly mentioned in a joke in the first ever Pokemon movie. No, that's not a joke. That actually happened.
Straw! 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 Oh, I think I'm gonna have one.
I didn't know Vikings still existed.
They mostly live in Minnesota.
Other than Brett Favre and a Diggs touchdown that had the secondary tackling an invisible ghost behind Diggs, there hasn't been a whole lot to get excited for. Richard Jefferson does look promising, but he's a lot like ranch dressing on an awful salad. Kirk Cousins is always questioned due to his play, while other parts of the team just seem to collapse at the worst possible times. I think taking a brief look at the season the Vikings had recently will give us some perspective about this team and its future. Starting off against the Bengals on the road can seem daunting, and considering the swagger behind the Bengals' new look and savior Joe Burrow, it becomes clear that the game will be competitive and very scrappy. Cincinnati dictates the pace of the game early, as it seems they have control going into the second half. But Kirk Cousins and the offense proceed to get out of their own way and do what they have to muster up overtime. The Vikings and Bengals each have chances, but the Vikings are moving the ball down the field and convert a big 3rd and 2. Unfortunately, Dalvin Cook loses the ball in Bengals territory, and the Bengals proceed to move down the field and win the game in overtime. Heartbreaker for the Vikings, and it wasn't even Kirk's fault. Definitely a different vibe already to this team. Let's hope big-time mistakes aren't a trend for this squad this season. This game has everything you wanted and is an early contender for Game of the Year. High-powered offense, lots of points and big-time plays as Kyler Murray and Kirk Cousins proceed to light the extremely flammable defenses that were presented on the field. Kirk Cousins and the offense are having another great game, and they're deep in Cardinals territory with an opportunity to take the game on the road. This field goal looks simple enough. Well, that's really depressing. I'm starting to think the Vikings may have broken a ton of mirrors this offseason because that was just brutal. A home game for the Vikings seems to be just what the doctor ordered as Minnesota get their first win of the season behind another great Kirk Cousins performance and the Vikings finally not choking on their own supply of air. The Seahawks couldn't get much going in the second half, and Minnesota seems to have found a groove with Kirk. I'm sure this is a great sign of things to come. If you like football games with horrible quarterback play and lots of handing off the ball to the running back, this game will satisfy that wet dream of yours. Just when you think Kirk Cousins has found some footing, he stumbles back into the mediocrity seat. It's not like Baker Mayfield was honestly that much better, but the Vikings scored on their first drive just to then take a 3-quarter nap right after. Baker Mayfield was very good and impressive whenever he handed the ball off to Nick Chubb, and not much else. I know this is about the Vikings, but don't worry, the Browns will get their due. Regardless, the Vikings offense sucked the life out of the game and their fans and lay a huge egg. The Vikings definitely needed to get back to winning, and the Lions happened to be handing out 1 free win coupons. Funny enough though, on the way to redeem the coupon, the Vikings almost dropped the free win into a shredder, as the game is a bit too close for comfort. At this point, just take the W and move on to next week. Don't make things harder than they need to be. The Vikings travel to Carolina to battle Sam Darnold and the Panthers. Early on, it seemed like the Vikings were going to have solid control, but due to Mike Zimmer being a bumbling buffoon and the Vikings being allergic to successful field goals, the Panthers hung in there. Sam Darnold was pretty awful, and his wide receivers also couldn't catch a pair of balls even if they attended a pride rally. The last drive from the Panthers was Sam Darnold at his best, which was the only time he looked like a capable quarterback in this game. Fortunately, the Vikings proceed to take care of business behind more great play from Kirk Cousins in the offense. Dallas is coming up next, and Dak might not even play. Sounds great. Wow, the Vikings had a golden opportunity, and they completely shit themselves. Former boy band member Cooper Rush led the Cowboys to a victory over the Vikings. Kirk Cousins did not play well, and arguably was the third best thrower of the football that game, as Cedric Wilson, a wideout, threw a more impressive ball than Kirk did all game. Mike Zimmer not adjusting at all has become a recurring problem that has still not been addressed. Vikings fans are definitely going to need to drink this game away. The Vikings snatch victory away from the jaws of defeat like no other team. Wait a minute, hold on. I think the quote is wrong. What I meant to say was, the Vikings snatch defeat away from the jaws of victory like no other team in the league. The Vikings were up 24-10 in the third quarter, then give up 21 points in a row to the Ravens. For a team that's supposedly defensive-minded, they sure tend to give up tons of yards and points. I'm fully convinced that the Vikings fan base has a fetish for heartbreaking torture as they lose another close game in overtime. God, I feel bad for all 12 fans of this self-destructive fan base. All in all, a solid performance. Offense, defense, and special teams hunkered down in this one. The Vikings could have had a much better record if football karma would just sprinkle a bit of good fortune on this season. Justin Jefferson is a force who will terrorize the league for many seasons. It's so odd that the team, despite Kirk Cousins playing surprisingly well, don't have a better record. Just goes to show that maybe Mike Zimmer should have been fired last year and shot out of a cannon to coach the Texans. Wow, what a game. The Packers and Vikings go blow for blow as they slash and gash each other's defense with effective precision. Kirk Cousins is playing out of his mind as his team is in a position to take the game over, a Super Bowl favorite. Adam Thielen and Jefferson show out, along with Cook, and it comes down to the wire. Ladies and gentlemen, hell has frozen over. The Vikings have won a close game with a field goal. The Vikings truly are must-see TV for all the twists and turns they churn out, and this season is a reinforcement of that fact. Two teams that are better than their record shows, and at 500, records put on a pretty entertaining game. Unfortunately, Minnesota not only loses, but they lose Dalvin Cook during a pivotal part of the game, where the difference was only 5 points. Deebo Samuel ran circles around the Vikings defense all game long. Maybe it's time to admit that the defense isn't as good as advertised. However, they do have the Lions again, and I'm sure an easy win over a winless loser team can only do wonders.
Oh look, an idiot. Let's point and laugh.
Lord have mercy. There is no way I just saw what I saw. The Lions come away with a victory on the final play of regulation. The Vikings don't have Dalvin Cook, but you shouldn't need him to beat a team that was openly pissing on their season. Yes, the Lions play hard for their coach, but there's still a huge gap in talent. Kirk Cousins threw over 300 yards, and the running game did manage to get 100 yards. But all in all, this could arguably be the worst loss in Vikings history. Mike Zimmer needs to be sent packing immediately, and that sorry excuse for a defense may have to go as well. How on earth do you allow Jared Goofball to run you out of town with players they found on the street? The Vikings are at this point a traveling circus act. There's only there for us to laugh and mock at, and I think they like it. After the incredibly demoralizing, embarrassing, and hilarious loss last week, the Vikings get Dalvin Cook back and start beating the brakes off Pittsburgh with their running attack. Kirk might still be shell-shocked after the Lions game, so he's not exactly playing well. But the Vikings are up 23-0 at halftime and are up 29-0 with 6 minutes left in the third quarter. There's no way Pittsburgh will come back? I completely forgot the Vikings have a reputation to maintain. No blowout wins. All games must be close and cause Vikings fans everywhere to develop extreme levels of anxiety. The game comes down to the wire as the Steelers have a chance to take this game into overtime, but by the skin of their teeth, the Vikings avoid a monstrous collapse. What a boring game this was to watch. Let me just say, the Vikings offense was basically missing or went blind without Adam Thielen. Fortunately for the Purple Faithful, the Bears have no offense to speak of as they muster up a hefty 9 points of offense. This game sucked and was close. A horrible combination like ketchup water and spoiled mayonnaise. The Rams are up next, and the Vikings need to keep winning to get into the playoffs. The Vikings tried to play up to the star power that the Rams have, but it's not enough. It's a 7-point loss, but the Rams had complete control. I would say that this loss is fine, and the Rams were just better, but the Vikings are in serious danger of missing the playoffs at 7-8. The Vikings must find a way to win next week, and it seems it'll have to happen without Cousins, who suffers a rib injury. Maybe the Vikings will surprise us. By surprise us, I meant surprising us due to the fact that this game wasn't close, so it's definitely different. Unfortunately, it was a dominant showing from the Packers as Green Bay runs over Minnesota 37-10. This game might have been a blessing in disguise for Kirk Cousins as we see the horrible ineffectiveness of this Vikings team without Kirk Cousins under center. The only memorable thing for the Purple Squad was the center making a catch and a decent run afterwards. With this loss, this all but guarantees no postseason for the Vikings. Truly disappointing. With nothing left but pride to play for, the Vikings host their final game of the season against the Bears. It seems the Bears are wanting something decent to end their season on as they go up 14-0, only to then see the lead be crushed and lose 31-17. I know this is supposed to be about Minnesota, but my God, the Chicago Bears are so boring and painful to watch. Nothing on their team works, and the pick six the Vikings had fully summed up that pathetic team. To be honest, I don't think the Vikings are a bad team. I think on paper, they should be a wild card team that can be dangerous. They have all the weapons, but something always seems to be missing. They had 14 one-score games this season and won 6 of them. This team feels like a 500 team with the potential to have many more wins. However, changes have to be made. The defense has to be addressed. Multiple 30-point games were given up or close to 30. Mike Zimmer has been given his walking papers. Kirk's future with Minnesota is uncertain. But I'll be honest, the Vikings have much bigger problems than their quarterback. This team is an actual coin flip that just happens to guess wrong most of the time. That's great for TV, but I'm sure the team and the fans want to be more than just a sideshow.
This game stinks.
Hey everyone, first of all, thank you so much for watching this video. I know that my upload schedule has been kind of inconsistent, and it's mostly been because I've been trying to look for a way to have a consistent upload schedule, and I didn't know which days I could do it. But I'm starting to decide on Thursdays or Fridays. Also, I have a goal of trying to get to 50 subscribers. You know, my first video ended up getting 100 views, and first of all, I'm so grateful to y'all that you enjoyed the content. So please, if you could just like and subscribe and keep the bell notification on for more uploads and videos like this, that would be really appreciated. And go ahead and share the video share this one, share the one about boxing, or whichever one. And if there's any way I can improve or things you'd like to see, please leave a message in the comments, and I will do the best that I can to produce more quality content. Thank you guys so much.